Hi, and welcome to another episode of Twisted Talks. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Joshua.
And you smell like chicken noodles, and it's making me hungry.
I don't know why, because I've not been around chicken.
You smell like chicken noodles.
Or noodles.
You smell like chicken noodles.
Interesting.
But anyway, so we didn't die.
Not yet.
My gland isn't swollen as much anymore, thank God. It's still quite swollen though, look at that.
It's on the mend. Nowhere near as bad as it was.
Oh no, I look like an alien growing out of
That's
my neck.
literally what I said. Your neck was the plot line of Alien versus Predator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with how awful glandular fever is, as I've discovered, I would have been happy for that thing to burst out of my neck and kill me.
Get out!
I was hoping.
Oh,
but you shouldn't have hope.
Yeah, you know what they say about hope. It breeds eternal misery.
Mm-hmm. And I was miserable.
I don't believe that anymore, guys, just for the record. Be hopeful. Stay happy.
Stay happy.
Be positive.
Stay hopeful. Anyway.
Be hopeful and hopeful.
Yep. Hope is Bill's character.
Yes. We all gotta got one. Gotta got one. Gotta have one.
I didn't have one.
I don't wish to discuss it.
You had enough of a whole phase for both of us, though.
I think I plead the Fifth Amendment right to avoid self-incrimination. I'd like my lawyer, please.
You know you can't afford a lawyer.
The state will provide it. I know my rights. Sort of, ish.
We know the rights for America.
Yeah, but we surely have something that's not the Fifth Amendment, but the same.
Yeah, I'm actually fairly sure I could, from watching so many, like, CSI, Law and Order, all that is too young of an age to be watching them. I'm pretty sure I have the Miranda rights memorized. Or at least I used to.
Yeah, I was once upon a time there. I'm not sure if I could do it now. You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. If you cannot afford a lawyer, a lawyer will be appointed for you. Did I?
Yeah. Joshua Cott, you are under arrest for being a bad bitch. You have the right to remain
You have the Marmite.
Anything you do say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. And that's all they say on TV, so that's all I know.
Same.
But anyway, that's a good 3 minutes of us talking shite.
We got our noses pierced today, guys.
We did, to celebrate not dying.
Yes, and also because I'm a compulsive person.
And it was buy one, get one free, so I got the free one.
Shout out to Allura Aesthetics.
Allura Aesthetics. Fantastic. That's Alora. I'm not spelling aesthetic. I know how to spell it, but I can't be fucked. Google it. Use your brains. You'll be fine.
I think I know how to spell it, but I'm not going to try. But, yes. So, very good. Muy bien. We have pretty noses now.
Yes. So sparkly.
Sparkle. But,
and today...
Oh, yes.
Josh is going to tell a case. I'm going to sit back and I may or may not vape. And I will give my
I'm going to tell the case and vape. Multitasking.
And I've never, ever heard of this case before. So I don't want to say excited, but I'm
as excited as you can be.
I'm interested.
Intrigued.
I'm intrigued. My interest is peaked.
Peaked.
That's Piqued.
Yes. Sí, muy bien.
Muy bien. Très bien.
Some of you guys listening that are all into like true crime and whatnot, like ourselves, you might have already, seen a few bits about this case, because Netflix just, I don't think it's out long, brought out their original series based on this case.
What's it called?
The Vatican Girl, Disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi. So that's what I'm covering today.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
I haven't watched the Netflix series yet. I think it's only a 4-parter. So there's probably a lot in today's episodes. That's episodes.
Sorry.
That'll be
just quickly.
in this.
If you haven't watched The Good Nurse, watch The Good Nurse.
Oh, I need to watch that.
So good. And
that's based on true story, isn't it? Yeah.
There's a documentary about a documentary on Netflix now as well about how they caught him, and I want to watch that. But as well,
oh, is this a him?
It's a him.
Because there's another one about a her.
Yeah. This one was about Charles Cullen. That was his name. And there's also a TV
was he
show.
any relation of Edward?
No.
He didn't sparkle?
No. He did kill people though.
So he was one of like the evil relatives
the
of the
The Volturi. But anyway, before I forget, there is another TV show called The Cry. It's got Jenna Coleman from Doctor Who.
That's the fictional one, isn't it?
Fictional,
yeah. Does look good.
Brilliant. 4 episodes. They're an hour long each. When I say I binged them, my Wi-Fi went down for 3 days and I was distraught because I couldn't finish this show. It was so good.
Triggered.
At no point did I know where it was fucking going.
Bit like life.
Plastic off my air freshener gone.
What?
Did you take the plastic off my air freshener?
No.
I don't know, it must have fallen off. Anyway, but yeah, highly recommend. Very, very good. Now you can continue, sorry.
But I'm trying to think, is there any other like goss or recommendations before I dive in?
Don't get glandular fever.
Yeah.
I actually think the chicken smell is off.
I'm actually like so lucky because, as you'll know from last week's episode, I was sick. We both were. Tanya with her glandular, me with my God knows what. And then with the last maybe since Sunday, I have had no voice. Today is the first day that it is actually not breaking much. So it may still happen during the episode, but hopefully not. I'm trying to stay hydrated so you don't have to listen to me sound like a donkey. Because if we to record this yesterday, it'd be hee-haw all the way.
Hee-haw.
Now,
was a winky wonky donkey.
With that 7.5 minutes of random starting, I will dive in and gonna jump straight in with some personal life and background information. So,
We're off to a great start.
We're off to a rocking start.
Yeah.
Emanuela Orlandi was born in the Vatican City on the 14th of January 1968. Emanuela is the 4th child out of 5. Her parents are, and before I continue, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing names of places right. I have an idea, but just in case I'm wrong, forgive me. So, her parents are Ercole and Maria Orlandi. Her maiden name was Pisano. According to some reports, Ercole Orlandi worked in the Vatican Bank. Other reports, however, say that he worked in the papal household. Now, I wasn't 100% sure what that was, so I'm going to explain it now.
In the what household?
The papal household, also known as the pontifical household, is made up of dignitaries who... What?
Papal. It's the papal household, I think.
I think it's tomato.
Call it what you want. It's the Vatican anyway.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit.
We know how we feel
about
the Vatican.
But where was I? Oh yeah. So it's and like I said, also known as the pontifical household, is made up of dignitaries who help the Pope in carrying out ceremonies of either a religious or civil nature. Regardless of where Ercole actually worked, the family lived inside the Vatican City and the children had free roam of the Vatican gardens. And that was according to Pietro Orlandi, Emanuela's older brother. Now, Emanuela was in her 2nd year of high school in Rome, which I think to us would be the equivalent of the later years of secondary.
Okay, so like TY 5th year, 6th year?
I think so, because I think middle school is like 1st to 3rd year, high school is like 4th to 6th.
Okay, so she would have been between 15 and 17.
She was 17, I want to say, but I could be getting that mixed up. I'll double check in a minute anyway. 1960. Yeah, she was young anyway. So I just lost where I was. Oh yeah. So, like I said, she was in her second year of high school in Rome. The school year was finished, it was over, but Emanuela was attending flute lessons 3 times a week at
fabulous.
Tommaso Ludovico de Victoria School, which is connected with the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music. The Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music is a higher education institution of the Roman Catholic Church, specifically dedicated to the study of church music. Emanuela was also a member of the church choir at Sant'Anna de Palafreniere in the Vatican. I think I did okay with that pronunciation.
I was just thinking you're doing really good with pronunciations on this.
I think I'm okay with Latin-based languages. I'm but with some of the other languages. What?
Is this not more Italian-based?
Italian comes from Latin, so does French, so does Spanish, so does English.
I am a dumb bitch.
Anywho,
What you call me?
Anywho, so that's our little bit of basic information, bit of an intro. Now we're going to move on to the introduction. So
Yes,
1983, and she was born 1968.
So she's 15.
15. Yeah, so that
Very
makes
young,
sense
very
for
young.
around that year. On the 22nd of June 1983, Emanuela went missing while she was on her way home from a flute lesson in the Vatican City. Emanuela would normally travel by bus to the music school. She would get off the bus after a couple of stops and walk the last few hundred metres. So it obviously wasn't that far at all, really. Emanuela was late to class on the day of her disappearance,
Yep. Disappearance.
whatever, my brain. She had asked her brother Pietro to drive her to the class. It was a very hot day, so who wants to walk in that? But Pietro had other commitments, so he wasn't able to. Later that day, Emanuela had called home to explain why she wasn't back yet. She was obviously, running later than usual. She spoke to one of her sisters, so her sister answered, and she explained that she'd gotten a job offer from a representative of Avon Cosmetics. I remember Avon. Are they still going?
Your dad sells Avon.
My mother did.
She did, yeah.
Me ma sold Avon.
Yeah, your ma sold Avon.
Some reports say that Emanuela allegedly met with the Avon representative not long before her music lesson. And at the end of the lesson, Emanuela had spoken to one of her friends about the job offer, and her friend then left her at the bus stop in the company of another girl. And it is alleged that Emanuela was last seen getting into a large, dark-coloured BMW. Bit weird. That don't sound like no bus to me.
Nope.
But by the sounds of things, going by that account, it didn't sound conspicuous or anything. Nobody mentioned a struggle, so she obviously willingly got in.
Yeah.
The next day, June 23rd, 1983, at 3 p.m, a lot of trees there. Emanuela's parents rang the director of the music school to find out if any of the students in their daughter's music class had any information. The police had suggested waiting because, quote, perhaps the girl was with friends, unquote.
Of course.
And she was officially declared as a missing person that day. During the course of the next 2 days, announcements about the disappearance were published with the phone number of the Orlandi house in multiple newspapers. On Sunday, the 25th of June, the Orlandi home got a phone call at 6 p.m. from a youth who claimed to be 16 years old and claimed his name was Pierluigi.
Pierluigi. That's a brilliant name.
Very different.
Brilliant name.
He said that him and his fiancée had met the missing girl in Piazza Navona that afternoon. He mentioned Emanuela's flute, her hair, and the glasses that she did not like to wear, as well as other details that match the missing girl. According to Pierluigi, Emanuela had just gotten a haircut and introduced herself as Barbarella. She just got a haircut and introduced herself as Barbarella. That never clicked with me when I was researching.
I was just skipping because she chose Barbarella.
Yeah, but the Barbers.
The Barbers.
That's quite funny. So, aside from her apparently introducing herself as Barbarella, this Pierluigi guy had also claimed that the girl had stated that she had just run away from home and was selling Avon products.
As you do.
You know, I didn't realise the process of starting to sell would kick in that quick.
Yep.
And don't you need an address for them to send the products to?
Mm-hmm. You do.
Anywho, that was delightful. I'm not even going to edit that out. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
So, another 3 days later, on the 28th of June, a man calling himself Mario called the Orlandi family.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, are these guys even Italian? Did they just decided these sound like full-on Italian names and I've played Nintendo before, so I'm going to use these names? All we're missing is normal Luigi, Waluigi and Wario.
Pierluigi can be Waluigi.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So this man calling himself Wario called the Orlandi family. Wario! Mario!
It's the fact that you didn't even notice.
I didn't until you laughed, and then I was like, wait, hold up, rewind. Calling himself Mario. And this Mario guy claimed that he owned a bar near Ponte Vittorio, located between the Vatican and the music school. He said that a girl called Barbara, a new customer, had told him about being a fugitive from home, but that she would return for the wedding of her sister.
That's so dramatic.
Yeah, a fugitive.
But I will return for my sister's wedding.
But until then, fuck y'all. Apparently.
And I'm Barbara now.
Barbarella.
But my friends call me
I actually kind of like that name though.
Barbarella.
It sounds very different. Huh?
Barbarella's a character.
Character from what?
I can't remember, but I know she's a character from something.
It's like pure Irish thing. She's a character, that girl.
Barbarella. She's a gas ticket, that one.
But yes, and then on the 30th of June, Rome was covered in posters showing a photograph of Emanuela Orlandi. So, like, have you seen this girl?
Yeah.
Please help,
missing,
whatnot.
Blah, blah, blah. Call this number.
Standard, just in Italian, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the 3rd of July, a Sunday, Pope John Paul II appealed to those responsible for the disappearance of Emanuela during the Angelus that day. And that was kind of making the theory of kidnapping like official for the first time. It was, I think it was like the first time someone who was like considered a head of state or anything like that had actually addressed it.
All I can think about is I remember when Pope John Paul II died, and I have never seen a human being so distraught by the death of a stranger than my nana was the day Pope John Paul II died. Her little Catholic heart was broken. Bless her.
They are,
whole house,
the older people are really
religious. Like in my nana's house, obviously it's all changed now since she died. She's gone with like 15 years. But she had all her holy statues up on a cabinet with her porcelain dolls. Yeah.
Tell me you've an Irish nana without telling me you've an Irish nana.
Those porcelain dolls used to terrify me as a child. But she had like her St. Peter statue, her Mary statue, her Jesus statue, all that. And then on the walls next to the fireplace, there was a framed picture of Elvis Presley. And then across from Elvis Presley
was the Pope.
was a framed picture of Pope John Paul II.
No, that nearly killed me.
Yeah, my grandmother was very religious, bless her.
That's quite funny.
Not
But I
something I
know
inherited.
in Granny and Granddad's house as well, there's a thing of the Pope, and I think they actually have like a blessing or something for their wedding or something like that signed by one of the popes.
Stop.
Down there somewhere. Something is signed that came from the Pope, I believe. I could be spreading false news, but I'm sure it's like a vivid memory locked in somewhere that there's something there. I'm going to have to ask Mum about it later.
Sorry, I'm playing with my clutch.
It's not that kind of show. Anywho, so yeah, a couple of days later, Emanuela's family got an anonymous phone call. This was the first of many. It was claimed that Emanuela Orlandi was being held captive by a terrorist group who were demanding the release of the man who shot the Pope in May of 1981. This is where my pronunciation's not going to be good. Mehmet Ali Agca. No other information was given during this call. In the days that followed, there were more phone calls made to the Orlandi family, one of which from a man identified as the American due to his accent. During this phone call, the American played a recording of Emanuela's voice over the phone, and only hours later another call was made, but this one to the Vatican, and it was the same man, and he suggested they do an exchange, Emanuela for Mehmet. The anonymous man mentioned that Mario and Pierluigi from earlier calls received by the Orlandi family were also members of the organisation.
Interesting.
Suspicious.
Suspicious.
Then on the 6th of July, the ANSA or ANSA news agency were informed of the demand made that Mehmet Ali Agca be released in exchange for Emanuela. The informant was described as having a young voice. I don't know how you can describe someone as having a young voice, but anywho, and an American accent. The informant was asking for the Pope's cooperation within 20 days, nice little stutter there, and indicated that a basket could be found in the public square near the Parliament, and it would have proof in it that Emanuela was indeed his captive. The items were supposedly photocopies of Emanuela's music school identity card, a tuition receipt, and a note that was handwritten by Emanuela Orlandi. A further 2 days later, on the 8th of July, a classmate of Emanuela received a phone call from a man who was alleged to have a Middle Eastern accent. The man claimed he had Emanuela and they had 20 days to make the previously requested exchange. This man also requested a direct phone line with the Secretary of State at the time, Agostino Casaroli. The requested phone line was installed on the 18th of July, and a total of 16 calls were made by the man identified as the American from various public phone booths. Now, when I was doing my research, I just thought it was strange for people that are making a demand that on the 6th of July, why do I keep stuttering?
I've been the same, don't worry about it.
But anyway, that the man who rang on the 6th of July requested cooperation within 20 days, but 2 days later, the next person to ring up also requested it within 20 days as opposed to 18.
But also, why did the second caller phone a classmate of hers? That's weird. That's really weird.
Probably a scare tactic, I'm assuming, being like, we can get in touch with other
young girls as well. Young boys.
And then, was there something else I found kind of weird? Oh yeah, and then I was like, also, when it's the disappearance of a young girl, when this was requested on the 8th of July for that direct phone line, why was it not installed until the 18th? That's 10 days.
That wasted half their time.
Yeah. And if we were to go by the very first time they rang and gave 20 days, that would have wasted over half their time.
12 days.
Yeah. Only for the fact they seem to have been given a new start of 20 days on the second phone call.
Yeah.
So I just thought I thought surely you'd work a bit faster than that.
Yeah.
So I'm just under 18 years after the disappearance of Emanuela on the 14th of May 2001, the parish priest of the Church of St. Gregory VII near the Vatican found a small human skull missing its jaw in a bag with an image of Padre Pio in a confessional. It's never been identified as being Emanuela's skull, but there are a lot who suspect that it very well could have been. But I'm assuming there surely would have been some trace of DNA to confirm or deny, but I didn't see anything else about it, so that's that. Emanuela's father, Emanuela Orlandi, actually passed away in 2004, which was a month after he gave his last interview. I suppose to do with it all.
Yeah. And there's nothing known about what happened to her? Or where she went, or
the next part we're just going on to is theories, but there's no
concrete.
Nothing's concrete, there's no proof.
Okay.
So
hang on, I'm going to put up my window all the way because it's cold.
It's getting chilly. So yeah, that's kind of the disappearance covered. And now the theories, few of them. Now I think most of these theories are covered in, as I said, the Netflix series. So if you find all this interesting, make sure to watch that. And if you want to read a bit about any of it, check out the resources link in the episode description, and you can head on over and read all the stuff that I used to throw this one together. Standard. So there's obviously, like with everything that's kind of unsolved, there's been many theories about the motives for the crime. Do you know what happened? The first theory actually links in with the anonymous calls made to Emanuela's family and school friend, where the trade was demanded, Emanuela for Agca. Agca himself had once stated that Emanuela had been abducted by Bulgarian agents of the Grey Wolves, a Turkish ultra-nationalist neo-fascist youth organisation that Agca was a member of. That was a mouthful. Agca also spoke about Orlandi during a prison interview with Italy's RAI state television. He told the interviewer that Emanuela was alive, that she was in no danger, and that she was living in a cloistered convent. I think I pronounced that right.
Okay.
Now, for those of you, I don't really know how to describe that kind of environment, cloistered, but if you look it up, the first photos you'll see will probably give you enough. You've definitely probably seen them in some sort of movie or TV show. They're always in something.
Like a group of nuns that live in the convent?
No, cloistered convent seems to be more like cloistered is like, you know, in a movie, right? The best way I can describe the images I saw was like, you know, when you have an area and it's like a square. So like the middle could be like a garden, but it's surrounded by like almost like some apartment blocks where there's open space in the middle and the square around is the apartments. So that seems to be, that's an example of cloistered.
Okay, right. So it's more to do with the building than the nuns.
Yes.
Okay.
So the convent is to do with, I suppose, a place where the nuns would be.
Yeah.
But cloistered is more so
live?
like, I guess, the layout or where it's situated or how it's situated.
Right.
So I feel like you could use cloistered for more than just a convent.
Yeah. Now, that theory, I think, could have some weight because you said that the Grey Wolves was a youth organisation and there was those two teenagers and they described the voices, the cops described the voices.
Yeah, you know, like they sounded like young people on the phone and stuff like that, so possible. Or is it possible that this Agca guy who's already in jail might as well take a bit of credit for some more shit that's going on? Do you know, so it could be either or, exactly. It's like you shot the Pope, you're not getting out anytime soon. But again, I suppose when you're in prison, you gain notoriety because, do you know, like, people who, like, let's say in America, people who are like FBI killers are highly regarded.
15-year-old girl, though.
Now that could get you in trouble, but it wasn't like a predatory thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't
didn't
like,
molest her.
you know, it
sexually
seems to
assault
be
her.
paedophiles and rapists that get the bad name in prison.
I don't know, because even if you
But also,
are known as a child abuser in any way, like
yeah,
you beat your kids if you
it
abuse
can
your
be.
kids.
It depends, like, yeah.
I
But
don't know. Maybe
it's,
it's just different in whatever prison he's in.
but it could also
Remind me of
just be that
something
might
to tell
not be
you,
why.
actually,
That
after
was
we
just
finished recording. I just thought of it there.
okay. Oh my god, the cough needs to go away. Oh yeah, so the Cloistered Convent. In mid-2000, Judge Ferdinando Imposimato declared that Emanuela, who was by this time an adult, was living a perfectly integrated life in the Muslim community and that she had probably lived in Paris for a long time. Judge Ferdinando came to this conclusion based on what he had learned about the Grey Wolves. So I'm assuming in what he'd learned there was something to do with Paris, because I haven't seen Paris anywhere so far. So I'm assuming that
But
came
as well,
from his
like,
research.
Was there anything that you know of going on at home that would have kind of pushed her to run away?
No. They seem to be a
very happy,
normal
family,
family.
loving family.
Yeah, from anything I saw. But you know, I suppose you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Exactly.
But who knows? But again, I'm like, I also think it's very weird for a judge to declare.
Sorry, I was going to say something bad.
Oh God, for a judge to declare, that she was probably happy out fine living in a Muslim community. Like, where's your evidence? Yeah, great, you did a bit of research. So under the assumption that the Grey Wolves are telling the truth, that this Agca guy is telling the truth, and they do have him, then fair enough, you might be right. But all you're doing at most is an educated guess. You have no fact or evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, how can you make such a statement as a judge?
Yeah.
But anyway,
But anywho.
Whatever. Which I think is a bit sus, because I'm like, why are you trying to push it onto that and be like, oh yeah, it has to be that?
Yeah, especially when you're a judge, because people are going to.
You're supposed to go by evidence.
Yeah.
And witnesses and
It's not
testimony.
meant to be circumstantial, sir.
Exactly. And then, like,
prove it
sometimes,
without a
don't get me
reasonable
wrong,
doubt.
sometimes circumstantial evidence, there is cases where I think it should be considered outright evidence because it's clear as day.
Yeah.
It's just a technicality. But then his evidence, I wouldn't even call his evidence circumstantial.
No, it's just words.
It's almost conspiracy theory.
He threw some words together and he was like, yeah.
He was like, so this prisoner said that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, she's in Paris. It's fine. She's fine, lads. Don't worry about her.
Oui, croissant.
It is like the
crab meat of the croissant. So that's that kind of theory. The next theory is based on a more organised crime basis. So it was claimed in 2011 that the kidnapping of Emanuela Orlandi was one of several strikes that the Banda della Magliana gang was making against the Vatican in an attempt to force the Vatican to pay back money the gang had lent to the Vatican Bank via Roberto Calvi's Banco Ambrosiano. So I believe he owned or ran that bank, so he was smuggling money. They were supposedly lending money secretly through that bank to the Vatican.
Okay.
So this claim was made by a former member of the gang named Antonio Mancini, and on the 14th of May 2012, the Italian police opened the tomb of a gangster named Enrico de Pedis, or Pedis, but normally they don't pronounce S's, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, who died in 1990, and they took DNA samples, and according to some sources at the time, according to some sources at the time, they took the DNA samples. An anonymous caller to an Italian television show in 2005 claimed that it contained evidence that would assist the police in explaining Emanuela's disappearance, and in 2008 a former girlfriend of Enrico de Pedis said that de Pedis had confessed to her once that he had kidnapped Emanuela. No clues were found in the tomb to link de Pedis to Emanuela. Now, he was in the organised crime thing. I can't remember, was he in that gang as well? I think that's why that's all in the one theory, it's all linked. But it's one or the other.
Okay.
And then we have the main one, really, I think. The Vatican sex scandal theory.
Okay, proceed.
So, as we mentioned in the previous theory, interest in the case had picked up again, and the police searched the tomb of de Pedis in May 2012. This got me. Exorcist Father Gabriel Amort, who was 85 years old at the time, so a priest qualified to do exorcisms, claimed that Emanuela, but this priest is the guy who claimed that Emanuela Orlandi was taken by a member of the Vatican police for sex parties and then murdered. He's the one who made the claim.
On yourself,
so,
Gabriel,
Father Amort, Gabriel Amort.
On you.
And he made claims that officials of an unnamed foreign embassy were also involved. One source, a woman who was a childhood friend of Emanuela, claimed that in the days before her disappearance, Emanuela had told her friend that she'd been molested inside the Vatican by someone close to the Pope, who, and as we know, the Pope at the time was Pope John Paul II. This claim could be linked to the theory of organised crime. Had the Banda della Magliana gang known of the molestation or found out of it somehow, they could have used this to blackmail or pressure the Vatican to pay back the money they supposedly owed them.
Oh no.
So a pinch of salt, because that's just if we were to try and link it up, so we don't know. Okay. But, you know, if a gang wants to find something out, like it's the mafia, they're going to find out. Yep. There's also the theory that Emanuela was sent to a London convent to cover up the alleged sexual assault on her by someone close to the Pope. This theory is explored in Netflix's Vatican Girl series. A leaked Vatican dossier seems to show expenses that could relate to Emanuela Orlandi stay in a London convent for over 14 years.
Interesting.
On top of all of this, for more than 30 years, the Vatican has been faced with accusations from the Italian authorities that the Vatican is not and or has not been fully cooperating with their investigations. A petition, a bit weird like, you know, but I'm not surprised at all. God damn. A petition with over 100,000 signatures was sent to Pope Benedict the 16th, requesting that the Vatican do an inquiry into the disappearance of Emanuela, but no response was received, and that was reported by the Toronto Star in 2014. Now, this is one of the longer theories. I think this has gone through, there's a bit more detail in it here compared to the other ones, and I think this one's also gone through in detail, as I said, in the Vatican Girl series, because I think the site I got this from was the article was published after the series came out, so it's kind of going by that and other resources. So this is about the involvement of a man named Marco Assetti. Marco Assetti claimed that the man known as the American was him. Marco claimed that he had planned the creative aspects of the abduction of Emanuela, whatever the fuck that means. He stated that they had tricked Emanuela by telling her that her father was in danger and that he could lose his job and his house if Emanuela did not cooperate. Oh my. Marco claims that he kept her at a low-cost women's shelter and they went for walks during the first and second nights of the abduction, as you do. Let's go for a stroll. Marco claimed that Emanuela was kidnapped by members of the Vatican. There was supposedly a secret organisation of priests. The group did not believe in the Pope's way of dealing with the East, and by the East I believe they're referring to Russia. Maybe other places, but I think a big part was trying to spread Catholicism in Russia. So whatever way the Pope was trying to spread it, or, you know, whatever, this group weren't vibing with it. Marco also claimed that another abduction, the abduction of Morella Gregory, was also carried out by him. Morella was taken after she left her house to respond to the doorbell. And the strategy was to kidnap one girl from the Italian province and one from the Vatican province to put pressure on the Italian authorities and the Vatican to cooperate. But when they didn't get the desired response, it came to an end. Marco claims that the last time he saw Emanuela, she was alive. Now, the account given by Marco is disputable. There were some details that he did not know, even though he claimed to be the American, so it appeared that everything he knew about the case he learned from media coverage of it.
Okay.
Now, according to Marco's psychiatric report, he was accused of lying about his involvement in order to deceive the judge. So, Marco said he did have a history of criminal activity. He was once in a relationship with a 17-year-old girl, and he was convicted of the manslaughter of a 12-year-old child before.
And yet he was somehow...
Not in prison. His claims to be the American gave him the chance to be the centre of attention, which obviously someone with that kind of personality craves that. A voice test was conducted of Assetti and the tape recordings of the American, and it was clear that the first few recordings did not match Assetti's voice, but that the later ones did.
Okay.
Now, I think the people who ran those tests were the creators of the Vatican Girl series.
Okay, so
I think it was them who did that.
He definitely didn't do the first few calls.
Yeah, so they say...
could have been responsible for the later calls.
So they were saying that they're kind of like... this points to Assetti being obsessed with the case and that he began to pretend to be the American. Going by the calls, it did not look like the second American had real knowledge... It did look like the second American had real knowledge of the Morella Gregory case. So Assetti may not have been involved in the case of Emanuela, but it seems very likely he did play a role in the case of Morella Gregory's abduction.
Okay.
Now, as I've said a few times through it, that kind of covers everything I've done. There is more theories, but I didn't kind of want to put too much into it. That was kind of taking so much from the Netflix show. It seems I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the main few theories that stood out to me. Like I said, check out The Vatican Girl on Netflix. Like I said, check out the resources that will be in the episode description, and you can give a read through stuff there. So yeah, as I said, a lot of information from today was written sources online, but a lot of them also link up with the series. So, like I said, I've yet to watch that. That is the story of Emanuela Orlandi, and the theories that I have put together are sourced regarding her disappearance and why the motive, what motive, you know, what people think happened, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feel free to get in touch and let us know what you think happened. Tanya, what do you think is the most likely?
Look, I'm aware that I have a severe bias
I
against,
think I have the same
against
as
the
you.
Vatican, but I believe it was the Vatican.
I do too.
Now, as I said,
I know it's the same in every organisation in every country. There's good people, there's bad people, you know, there's somewhere dancing on the line in between. But I do think, whether it was the Vatican or not, it definitely had to be a powerful group.
Yeah, like the reason I think it's the Vatican is because, being Irish, we both know how much they covered up historically.
That, like, the power they held here, and still
Yeah.
to some extent,
And that
nowhere
was-
near as
and
much as
they're
they
in Rome.
used to.
Like, they were in Rome, and
Yeah.
they still, like...
So
there
imagine,
was-
the
there was
Vatican, I'm pretty
cases-
sure, is considered its own country. It's considered the smallest country in the world, even though it's in Rome.
That's weird. No religion should have that much power. No religion should have that much power, in my personal opinion. But just being Irish, knowing the history of everything that's been covered up in this country,
Yeah.
I see no reason why they wouldn't be able to cover up something like this
On home
in their
turf.
on home turf in their own country.
Where the big man is, where the Pope is.
Yeah.
Where the big man says me.
Because when you, like, I'm going to get into a rant. But when you look at, like, the cases of abuse in the boys' homes, like the boys' Catholic homes,
Yeah.
the cases of abuse in the girls' Catholic homes, the mother
Tuam,
and
yeah.
baby homes,
Mass graves and everything.
like, Tuam alone haunts me.
And that was only one.
And that was only one. And it's because I know that there are still hundreds of babies in that septic tank.
Yeah, and then, like, there's not even, then, you know, as well as all of that, then you've got the ones that were forcefully shipped off to be given to
like,
parents in
there's-
America, even if the
there's
mother wanted to
people
keep them.
living in America that don't know their roots because they don't know they came from a mother and baby home.
Yeah,
There's women still to this day alive in this country that have children that they have not seen since the day they gave birth or the weeks following giving birth.
there's
because
people
that
out there who
child was
don't know if their
forcibly taken
parents,
to
their
them.
real parents are alive, or vice
Exactly,
versa.
and the records aren't exactly the best records in the fucking world.
No,
Like,
because
I've
why are you
seen
going to
them.
keep good records on something that's completely dodgy, and you know in the long run it's
and
not
then
going
you've
to be
got
good?
the things like the Magdalene laundries. It's horrific. Like, Ireland has suffered because of Catholicism and the Vatican, and I personally have a strong distaste. I would even, you know what, I would even go so far as to say hatred for Catholicism as a religion.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to take it a step further than hatred. I have an indifference.
You know what? I have an indifference to the religion. Okay, I would never judge anyone for being a Catholic. That's obviously your religion, your culture. That's your.
They
That's
say
your
that
own,
the
that's
opposite
your
of
own
love
thing.
is not hate, it is indifference. So I have an indifference.
But in terms of people,
Historically speaking.
in terms of people historically in the church that I know have covered things up, and even the Pope.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
care
as
what
in, I
anyone
don't
says, the
care if,
Pope
like,
knew.
someone's,
The
you know,
Pope knew
I don't
what was
care if
going on.
people are, you know, Catholic or Muslim or whatever religion they are. I have time for everyone.
Yes, exactly.
But it's the people that were
Within-
abusing that
yeah.
power and that were in charge of these things, that awful things that happened.
Yeah.
That's at the root of it, and that's
Like-
where I take issue.
like,
And
I
that's
was-
what Catholicism.
Yeah,
I don't
was
know
raised,
anything about
I
other
was
religions.
raised Catholic. I've had my baptism, I've had my communion, I've had my confirmation.
Same.
And it was kind of, even when I was getting my confirmation, I was a bit on the fence, but I was 11 at the time, so I was like, fuck it, let's do it. But by the time I hit like 13 or 14 and I really started seeing the things that were wrong within the church and the things that were wrong within Catholicism, that I was like, nah, this ain't for me.
Yeah,
This is not my lifestyle. I don't choose this.
yeah.
And like I said, and like Josh said, there are priests out there who are genuinely good, they're genuinely kind, they want everyone to feel welcome in their church, no matter what their background is, no matter what their sexual orientation
It's just, that's
is.
the shame with every organisation, be it religious, be it, you know, be it business,
But even
be
in-
it
even in
political, be it
any
guards,
community,
police,
like-
you know, there's corruption everywhere.
like even in communities, like this might land me in a bit of hot water now, but we'll say the travelling community gets a very bad reputation.
Yeah.
Needlessly, because I know so many people who are part of the travelling community,
Agreed.
whether they're settled or they're still travelling and living in caravans, campers, whatever.
And they're sound.
And they're the nicest,
Yeah.
most genuine people I've ever met. But there are people within the community that are absolute scum.
But then there's the same with us.
But exactly,
settled.
even in my family, there's people that are brilliant, there's people that are not so brilliant. But
Do
you
you know-
can't judge everyone within the community or everyone within the
Based
church
on
based on
one
one
brush.
person or one
brush.
one pot of paint.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, that's my views on Catholicism. If you're Catholic, don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah, don't worry. We respect you.
We respect
We
you.
just don't respect some of the people that are responsible for certain things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know if it... Oh, there we go. I've been talking for so long, the voice is starting to go
Yeah.
again.
45 minutes though.
Oh, we lasted this long.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think this
my
might
God.
be the shortest episode we've done in a while.
In a while, definitely.
Because we've been picking some hefty cases.
Yeah, there wasn't as much on this one as I thought there was going
Yeah.
to be. But, oh, there we
But
go.
even my Rained Murray case, like I thought that was going to come up very short because I did find it quite hard to find information. But I'm pretty sure it was nearly an hour.
I'd say so, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was. But anyway, I suppose before my voice completely decides to go bye-bye, it's time to go and get a glass of water. Feeling a bit dehydrated, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's thirsty.
Thirsty.
His glasses. He can't see without his glasses.
I better not leave him in the car again.
Yeah, please don't.
Well, the glasses case.
Because I'm not bringing him into you. You'll have to wait until we record them.
We're recording again tomorrow.
But then you can get it back tomorrow. I forgot we're recording tomorrow.
Anywho, so, oh, something caught my throat there.
Anyway,
Thank you very much for listening once again.
apologies to the Catholics
Yeah,
if we insulted
to the
you.
good ones.
It wasn't our intention. If you're a nasty Catholic though, you can suck my toes.
That is vile.
Exactly. It's what they deserve.
Oh, but anyway, to all our listeners, thank you for listening.
To all
Again.
a good night.
Let us know your theories. Let us, if there's anything we didn't mention, feel free to let us know about it, and if that's what you think happened. And yeah, same spiel. Give us a message
Give us some recommendations.
Give us a follow.
Rate us 5 stars.
Yes.
Because we're class.
and tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Share us on
And
Facebook.
Allura Aesthetics for any piercings. What else does she do? Where's the leaflet? Let's give this girl a shout.
Oh, I don't know. I brought the
Oh, you brought
leaflets
some
inside
inside.
so that I can bring them to
But she
work.
does piercings. She does
Tattoo removal.
tattoo removal. Well,
Permanent
she's studying
makeup.
tattoo removal.
No,
at the
she's
moment.
already
Oh,
qualified.
she's already qualified. Sorry,
As far
she's
as I know.
qualified in piercings, tattoo removal, permanent makeup, microneedling, and I'm sure there was one.
I'm
other
sure
thing.
there's something else.
There was one other thing.
But if you know us and you're local, then
hit her up. You know where she is.
go get some piercings or whatnot. And yeah,
Might
okay.
leave a link to her Insta maybe in the description or something.
Oh yeah, I will actually. I'll find a link for the Insta and the Facebook. One or the other will be there, if not both.
Support local business.
Exactly. And for those of you that are not local and cannot, then go find a good one near you and support them.
And she's very nice, very gentle hands, brilliant piercer, very professional, which I love because we've dealt with some very unprofessional piercers over the years. But yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend her. Like my nose looks...
I actually can't even feel that I got my nose
No.
pierced. It doesn't hurt.
No, it's so good. But good night and God bless,
Once again.
she says, knowing full well she's not Catholic.
And I think it's so funny as well, good night and God bless, when this publishes at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
Good morning and God bless.
Or
Have
if
a
you're-
blessed day.
Well, it depends when you're listening. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night.
That's from The Truman Show.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen... I love The Truman Show.
No, I've never seen it.
What is it? It's good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night.
Oh my
Good
God.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, or something like that. But it's very.
They say
funny.
it the right way. I said
It's
it a little
very,
bit backwards in the middle.
It's a very good movie.
Interesting. So, guys, once again,
Slán.
thank you and goodbye.
Gorv Mahagut.
Gracias. Ciao.
Mila Mahagut.